All right, I got a doozy for y'all today. Climate is one of the core ideas of white supremacy and colonialism. All right, I'm gonna say that again. Climate is one of the core ideas of white supremacy and colonialism. Now, to prove the point, we're gonna go to a place that you might not be expecting. We're gonna go to a hurricane in 1900, September 8th, 1900, that hit Galveston, Texas. And what I have here is an issue of Collier's magazine from October of 1900 that has pictures and discussions of the Galveston hurricane and the aftermath of the Galveston hurricane. And the Galveston hurricane killed between 6 and 8,000 people, making it one of, if not the deadliest natural disasters in American history. So you can imagine in 1900, this was an issue of huge interest. People really wanted to know and learn about it. And here in Collier's magazine, we have an essay, Hurricanes and Storms by Professor Willis L. Moore, Chief of the United States Weather Bureau. I mean, this is who you would want to hear from, right? About such a major weather event. And just before we dive into what he says and how that connects us to white supremacy and colonialism, you can see here, these are some of the pictures of the damage caused. This is Galveston after the storm. I'm going to slide this over a little bit more so you can see. I mean, again, this was a issue of real interest to people all around the country. And so the fact that Collier's magazine is printing this and sharing this, it's huge. Um, so let's go back to Willis Moore, because this is where we're going to see this link between climate and white supremacy and colonialism. So Professor Willis L. Moore, we're going to call him a certified HAN. If you want to know what HAN means, you got to go back. I'm going to cite my references. You cite my references. You need to go back to No Worries and their album Yes Lord, their song entitled HAN. That's exactly what Professor Willis L. Moore is. But he's the chief of the United States Weather Bureau. He's talking about it. What we know about storms. People want to know, like, do we even understand hurricanes? How can we predict them? The storm that destroyed Galveston, we're going more into detail. The hero of the Bureau, Weather Bureau, who in this case was Dr. Isaac M. Klein, chief officer of the Weather Bureau in Texas. So, wants to celebrate his work. Great disasters of the past. How does this fit into kind of the historical um, information that we have about hurricanes, etc. And then cyclones in the Philippines. And this is kind of interesting because he's looking at how islands and mainlands, the relationship between them weather-wise, and how information from islands, as the hurricanes move across the ocean past these islands and into the mainland. So Philippines is to China what the Caribbean islands are to the mainland US. That's kind of his idea, which, it's 1900. It seems plausible. It seems like a good place to go. But I want to focus here on this section here, the fury of the tropical hurricane, because it's going to go somewhere buck wild. Like, it's going to go somewhere we're not expecting. So let's zoom in. Ooh, your boy got his camera situation all over the place right now. All right, let's get it right. All right. See, we gotta. I want y'all to zoom in on this. See, we got to get that. All right. See if I can make sure I get this. All right. So down here is the passage where Willis L. Moore is starting to talk about, as you can see here, an American cold wave that has no counterpart, that nowhere else, unless it is in the steppes of Russia, does temperature show such oscillations or changes in such short periods of time. Like, this has nothing to do with hurricanes. All of a sudden, for no reasons that I can't tell, he's talking about this cold wind that cuts through the United States. And as he says a little bit earlier, it happens like, 5 days right up here. It says, um, preceding the fall equinox, right? So, right around the time of fall, the cold north wind, if it be dry, and it usually is, brings physical energy and mental buoyancy in its mighty breath. Let no one disparage the American cold wave. For much of the physical and intellectual energy that has made this country great that has caused it to take the leading place among the great nations of the world, that has caused its people to excel in the arts, manufacturers, and commerce, was born in the, and we're going to skip ahead to page 22. It is born in the, look, could I take longer to get to page 22? All right, we're going to slide this over so we get a good look at this. All right, hopefully we got a good look at that. I hit the focus on that, just see if we can get that nice and right. Hopefully you can see all those words. All right. So all of that stuff was born in the activity and energy of the cold north wind. Again, he's talking about this north wind, has nothing to do with the hurricanes. And he's talking about how America's leading place in the world in commerce, in arts, just basically in all of the pillars of what we consider to be Western civilization. He's attributing that to the cold wind. But here's where it gets even more real. If we follow this line of thought a little further, it will occur to us that the north branches of the Aryan races have always migrated against prevailing winds, and in the teeth of watery currents have always thrived upon resistance and have grown stronger and more resourceful against all opposition. So now he's saying, he's linking this cold wind and the one that he sees is basically the same happening in Russia to the strength and resourcefulness of Aryan peoples. It is a noteworthy fact that a high civilization has not physically depleted the German, the Scandinavian, the Anglo-Saxon, and other peoples of the northern part of the temperate zone. That the civilizations of the middle cold latitudes, enduring as they have, reached higher and higher stages of development, and have caused the people under their influence to form more homogeneous and strongly knit political institutions. While the civilizations of more southerly latitudes have seemed to reach high degrees of development only to bring on physical innovation and political disintegration. So, what this man is saying is people of the colder latitudes have a greater strength and resourcefulness and therefore are able to build steadier and stronger and more robust civilizations. People of the southern latitudes, brown people, they build things up only to lead to physical weakness and to lead to political instability. So yeah, this is a tough one, y'all. I mean, so hopefully this clarifies my original point that climate has been used as a central core idea in white supremacy. What we just read, the head of the chief of the US Weather Bureau talking about in describing one of the most deadly hurricanes, he used this opportunity with people's eyes on his paper to begin speaking about white supremacy and how climate basically establishes the greatness of the white race relative to the rest of the world. This is baseless. It has no foundation in fact, and it is pervasive. And believe me when I tell you, we are only scratching the surface. This ideology goes all the way back to Hippocrates in ancient Greece, and it continues throughout all of American history. I want y'all to ride with me because we're going to be going through this, but and also as we're thinking about climate and we're thinking about the climate crisis, basically what this is telling us is the entire Western world, the colonial project, is grounded in ideas that come from climate or that they based upon climate or their understanding of climate. Where can we establish civilization? Who do we need to establish civilization? What places have weather that is most conducive to civilization? And how do we make the places that do not have the climate conducive to civilization? How do we make them so? So it's not just the weather, it's the weather and how the weather shapes people. And this is the foundation of white supremacy and colonialism. Again, I mean, this is a tough one. This is a gut punch for me. I'm going to stop here. Um, we'll come back to this. This is hugely important, not just as we're continuing this fight against white supremacy and scientific racism, but also as we figure out not just how to fight the climate crisis, but to better understand how climate works in our society, what understandings exist, and what things do we need to change. Um, there's a lot still to unpack about this, and I'm hoping that other scholars will be interested in it, be drawn to this question, be drawn to this issue, and hopefully add some more pieces to the puzzle. Um, yeah, this is raw dog, but this is the work. One.